If the Vikings are really dead set on running it back with Garrett Bradbury as the starting center with no competition, which I believe they will, and with Ezra Cleveland, who, if Bradbury plays elsewhere in 23, the spotlight is going to shift on Cleveland, who's not really built for consistent interior play. Your bookends, I think, are going to be great. Right guard, I think, will be fine. But with the questions and concerns that do exist on the offensive line, and with the Vikings showing that they really don't feel the need to address it any further, there's really only one factor that could save it, and that's offensive line coach Chris Kuper. Can he make these pieces work together effectively enough, especially for your pocket passing quarterback? Time will certainly tell by the time we get to the start of the season, but if we're trying to project it, it's really hard to gauge. Last year, he was the Denver Broncos assistant offensive line coach, so not the lead guy, but was still part of the process. Last year, 2021, the Broncos tied for the 12th most sacks and tied for 13th most quarterback hits allowed, whereas the Vikings actually much better than Denver in sacks allowed. Denver tied for 12th most, Vikings had the 5th fewest. Conversely, Denver tied for 13th most quarterback hits, Minnesota 3rd most. I think there's a valid explanation for both teams. In the case of Denver last year, the quarterback situation was a hot-ass mess. Has been for years, but especially the case last year. You had Teddy Bridgewater, who at this point in his career is better off being a backup opposed to being a starter. He started 14 games. You also had Drew Lock, also better off as a backup. He started 3 games. Disaster. Quality of quarterback play, you can point the finger there. Now, in the case of Minnesota, the only explanation I can come up with for having the 3rd most quarterback hits allowed while also having the 5th fewest sacks is because Kirk Cousins is a tough-ass dude. This man is constantly having to deal with getting his block knocked off while still standing strong in the pocket and delivering the ball where it needs to be. And he's not Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes where he's evading pressure or scrambling outside of the pocket on the regular. Kirk, he does it from time to time on occasion, but 95% of the time, he's standing in the pocket absorbing hits. So for Chris Kuper, who's in a much better situation quarterback-wise, compared to Locke and Bridgewater, Cousins has better talent, better poise, doesn't panic anywhere close to the level of the other two. Can Chris Kuper coach this group up enough to where their worst case, an average offensive line? I'd like to think so. Maybe Ezra Cleveland can improve. I think it's going to take a 4-leaf clover before Garrett Bradbury gets better because one day he says I've put on 10 to 15 pounds. The next day I see a picture of him posted by the Vikings with country singer Eric Church. And Garrett Bradbury looks exactly the same as he's always been. You see Brian O'Neill and Blake Brandel, they clearly look like offensive linemen, not just because they're tall, but they're some wide-ass dudes. Oh yeah, they're on the line for sure. And Bradbury, he looks like a running back. And that's your starting center? I think the line is going to be better, but by how much, that's a tough answer to give. I think if the Vikings are going to go on a playoff run, which I do believe they will, it's going to be in spite of Garrett Bradbury. Next video is tomorrow. We'll see you then.